Right, you guys, and welcome to another video. So in today's video we're going to review the investments from last week to see how they did and to see what kind of learnings we can take from it. I think it's important, as a comment in the previous video suggested, to review both kind of when is a good time to sell these investments and also to look at how they did, see what we can learn from it. Big respect to all the other trading content creators that are in the community, but a lot of the time they'll put out all trading tips and then they won't actually look back and see how they did. They won't give you, any kind of insight into why things worked the way that they did. And so I think if we can do this kind of pattern where we make these tips, see how they pan out, and then take some learnings from them, it's just going to help much more in the long run. It's going to help you guys to learn a little bit more about what works and why it works, so you can start to make your own moves as well. Alright, so I'm simply going to go through one by one the investments that came out from the out of packs method from the previous video that we did. Later on this week we'll do a further video to look at the investments for the upcoming out of pack players that I'm going to target and why I'm going to target them. Alright, so first of all we're going to look at probably the main player that I tipped for an investment last week, which is Ezekiel Palacios from Bayern Leverkusen. That's because he's used in his league SBC but also in advanced SBC solutions then as well. So effectively those are evergreen SBCs that people continue to do throughout the year. And so anytime their supply gets reduced, the price tends to go up. We saw a couple of peaks in demand for Palacios over the last 10 days. And these peaks were a common theme throughout for many of the cards that we're going to run through because of the puzzle SBCs that EA were bringing out quite regularly. So that's another good advantage that we have at this time of year. There's going to be regular puzzle SBCs, which means then if a player features in a solution, or if he's the only way to achieve the chemistry to link different players in different leagues together, then they'll see these little peaks. They won't show up on the footbin curve so much because they'll tend to be between the hours of 6 PM and 9 PM on a particular day, whereas footbin by the day will take the average, but you can see a little bit of the pattern as we run through then as well. So Palacios to get picked up last week was around kind of 1.5 to 2k, and now as you can see at the moment he's nice and steady up at around 6k, and his supply is so heavily reduced now that you'll find times during the day when his price will be even higher than the 6k that it's at the moment. So as I'm making this video, I think it's safe to sell most of these players. There's probably still a couple of days left of rise in them before they go back into packs on Friday, but you should be pretty much safe to sell these now. If you have a lot of these players, obviously don't flood the market because this is all on the basis of the supply being quite low. So if you suddenly put 100 or 200 cards of a particular player on the market, the supply won't be low anymore, demand won't change, and so the price will just drop if you do that. But Palacios has done really well. Effectively, if you put all of your coins into Palacios, you will have trebled them in just over a week, which would be a great result. Next up, we got a personal favourite, at least one that I've had history with this year, which is Lisandro Martinez. Again, he's a player that's used in advanced SBC solutions, and so he was always likely to do pretty well. So again, we picked him up under 2k, as you can see there, and now he's actually up towards being extinct. Again, he fluctuates quite a bit because his supply is now so low, but in general, overall, he's been pretty steady in his growth over the past 10 days. You'll have at least doubled, if not 2.5 times your coins, and now you've got the opportunity over the next couple of days. At certain times during the day, he could well be extinct whenever you list them on the market then too. So worth checking. Again, sell quite slowly if you have some Lisandro Martinez still to sell, so that you don't flood supply back onto the market. But you got the opportunity there where you could almost have 5x your investment if you went for Lisandro. Next up, we'll look at some of the guys in a batch from effectively that were bought for League SBCs. We'll start off with a nice little success story, which was Valverde. So he was picked up because there was pretty much no other way to do the Real Madrid League SBC without using him, but we got a really good spike in his price whenever the Vinicius Junior SBC came out, and so there was actually the opportunity to make quite an early large amount of profit on him whenever that SBC hit. He went up towards kind of 5-6k after having a buy price of around 2k on the Friday of the week previous. So again, good opportunity to treble your coins quite easily with Valverde, mainly the upside being from that extra SBC that came out with the Real Madrid requirement. Because we see with players like Correa, if they're only used for the League SBC, they didn't go up that much. They all went up, of course, but they didn't go up quite as much as we'd hoped. Again, with him, you were looking at a buy price of around 1200, and he's about 2.4k now. So again, you will have doubled your coins, but it's kind of taken quite a long time for him to come through. And so I'm not overjoyed with that investment. And that's one of the key learnings that we have moving into the next period of investing, is that the League SBCs alone aren't really enough to keep that level of demand required to get these cards to really spike in price. They'll keep ticking over okay, but if we're looking for some really big wins in the last kind of weeks and months of FIFA, we potentially will target cards for other reasons rather than just League SBCs. You see that again with the likes of Boubacar Kamara, only a modest profit if selling a couple of days ago, and then he started to drop again now. He's not been that popular because he's only used for that League SBC. Similar story with Tonali, a little bit of a peak of interest, really potentially for artificial demand at the start as people realised he was out of packs and continued to buy him into the first few days of that. And then since then he started to decline because, again, I guess people just aren't doing the League SBCs, the demand isn't there. Tomori did okay, potentially simply because he's a rare gold Premier League card and there's a lot of upgrade SBCs that went on. Again, your pickup price was around 1200, he's at around 3k now, so you'll have doubled at least your coins if you held him to this point. Luis Felipe, again picked up simply for that League SBC. He's done okay, around 1k up to around 2k now, so you'll have doubled on him, but at the same time it's not that groundbreaking at this point of the game. Similar with Renan Lodi, not much movement there at all. He's probably been the worst of all of the pickups. He's only really peaked a couple of times, and other than that he stayed around the same price we picked him up for last week. Kerrer did okay. There was a nice little spike in there when a particular SBC came out that he was quite useful for. Again, overall, you will have around trebled your coins if you pick Kerrer up, even if you're selling at this stage, because his pickup price was around 1.2 up to about 1.5, and now he's over 3k again, so you've got good opportunity to make nice profit on Kerrer. He's a decent player to use in any kind of SBC solution, so I put the rise in price attributed to that, as opposed to necessarily being because of the League SBC, which is the reason why we had targeted him. Finally, one that we missed previous is Eggerstein. So he was another player that's used in the advanced SBCs, so you can see he actually did quite well. You could up to quadruple your coins on Eggerstein, and he's one that kind of started off quite rare because it's counterintuitive, but non-rare gold cards, there's less of them on the market generally anyway, and so he rose very, very well. And so we've looked at players using an advanced SBCs, players using League SBCs. The next kind of category of players to check in on the investments are the ones that are used effectively as those fodder players, that kind of 82 to 84 rated level of player. And we've had so much content over the last week and 10 days from EA that required this level of player that they've done really well. As we move into Team of the Season, obviously we get into it more in the video that follows, but you can expect there's going to be lots of these guaranteed SBCs at around the 86 rated mark. So again, 83 to 86 rated players should probably do well, but we'll look into that more in the next video. In terms of the previous investments, with Tolisso there, you've made a nice kind of 5k profit per card when extinct. I like this kind of investment because it's so easy to sell them when they're extinct. You just list one at a time. Each time it sells, put another one up. That's all you need to do. He was under 5k when the video came out, and now he's 10k, he's extinct. So a nice, easy way to make profit from Tolisso. Similar story to Jene. He was a little bit more expensive to start off with because he was a centre back, and there was already some demand for him in the SBCs that existed before the video. But again, another one that went extinct, so a really nice, easy place to put your coins. Looking at the 84 price point, you got Goretzka. We'll look at Lucas Hernandez in a moment as well. Again, they were already quite expensive for what they were. They've gone up a little bit, but your margin, you can see, isn't that great. You may be looking at kind of an 8k buy price and now to kind of a 12k sell price. So there you're making 50%, whereas with Tolisso at that nice 83 rated level, you were doubling. And you can see there with Lucas Hernandez, similar situation. Looking at an 82, which I thought was a nice opportunity in the video, and when we talked about it, you got Munayin there. Again, he started off at a decent level at 2k. But now he's over 6k, so you will have trebled your coins on him. So that's one of the biggest margins and the biggest absolute profit per card then as well. That nice, solid, well-linking 82 rated player. And again, it's based on the content that EA brings out, of course. But if you're going to keep getting these upgrade SBCs, if you're going to keep getting these guaranteed SBCs for players or party bags, then well-linking players that are going to get you the easy chemistry are going to do very well. But we'll focus on that in the next video. This was simply to review what the previous video told you to do and how those investments paid off, why they paid off, what we're going to look to do more of in the next video, which will be up later on this week. So make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you can get it as soon as possible, so you can target those players before they get taken out of packs and before you see that little initial spike as well. All right, speak soon.